I live locally, very close to town, and I have four children who have all attended local schools. Um, and I've been a police officer now for since 1989. So you can do the math on that for a long period of time. I started my career as a part-time officer in the town of Egremont. A few shortly after that, I joined town of Sheffield as a part-time officer and worked pretty much full-time on a part-time basis for between both communities. And then mid 90s, I was hired full-time for the town of Great Barrington, and I've worked here ever since. Over my career with Great Barrington, I was a community policing officer, worked in the downtown area. I was a bike officer for many years in the downtown area, and in 2010, I was promoted to sergeant. Um, when we created the sergeant's position, I maintained that position for 10 years until I was promoted chief of police. Um, I took over as an interim chief back in December of 23rd of just a few months ago, or just little over a month ago, um, for Chief Walsh, who had a stellar career over 40 years. Um, the unfortunate side of it, it was through the holidays and the beginning of budget time. So the transition has been busy, but exciting. Um, so over the last couple of weeks since I was officially offered the position of chief of police, um, along with my command staff of Sergeant Carlato and Kara Becker, we've been pretty aggressive with addressing a lot of the issues and making some pretty substantial changes to meet the needs of our community. One of the first things we did was address some of the traffic issues. We were all constantly receiving traffic complaints. So I created a traffic enforcement um, unit along with the new speed trailer it received. And we put that program out, and I received a lot of information and requests from the community. We're addressing that, and we also added it to our website, to our open data portal, so people can actually log onto our website and view the data that the speed trailer creates, so we can do a little bit more of a target enforcement. I'd love to continue. We've seen great success. We've had a lot more visibility out there, really to promote traffic safety. And I think that program hopefully is this as the summertime comes around, we'll get a lot, still a lot more feedback from that and continue with that program. One thing that I'm going to address even this weekend is downtown area market brought up about the crosswalk safety. So what I want to do this weekend, because I think we're getting a lot more traffic during certain hours. I don't know if it's when butternut's getting out, is to address that this weekend. I'm going to have patrols really focused on that area and crosswalk safety this weekend during those times, like morning time when people are going to butternut, and then when they're leaving, we're seeing like a little uptick in traffic. So I'm going to try to target that this weekend. We'll see how that goes, and I'll take the feedback from the officers and kind of address it and see if that helped at all, or if that's working in their opinion. A couple other things that I've done recently that I'm really excited about is I started this community outreach education officer program, and I put it out to the officers to see who might be interested in assisting me in developing this program. And I got a real good, strong response from several officers. So I changed the way I viewed it, and instead of doing just like a single officer that was going to work on my outreach program, I created a team, because some of the people that express interest already have relationships built with certain groups within our community. So I thought it would be better to look at it that way, so we can just continue to build off of those relationships that are already established. We had our first meeting yesterday, and kind of laid it out of how we want to approach this program, and areas of the community that we want to start building trust with and conversations with. And our list is pretty large, but we're really excited about it. Additionally, I've utilize the resource of Brian House from the Berkshire District Attorney's Office. He is their community outreach person, and I had a good conversation with him. He's provided a lot of information, so we're going to bring. He's offered his assistance to help us navigate the kickoff of this program and kind of give us some information and tips on ways that we can really make this a strong program. And additionally, the other thing that we're working on through Kara Becker's relationship with the opioid prevention group is to build off of our co-responder program. And what I mean by that is a couple years ago, we started our co-responder program where we have a licensed clinician that works directly with the police department. She has office space here, and she can go to help on any type of mental health type calls, and she can do evaluations on scene, which frees up a lot of the services the way we used to do it, where we'd call the ambulance, then they ship them up to the hospital where they do the evaluation. We can actually do it right on scene, and she can saves a lot of energy and resources by doing that. She also has the ability to start the conversation with these people and get them some services that they may need. So they might not be in a situation where they need to be hospitalized or a little bit more intensive treatment, but some outpatient treatment. She can get those services in place. So to build off of that, what we just started was a recovery resources. So in addition to the mental health aspect of it, we have a recovery outreach resource that we can refer people to. So somebody may be suffering from some type of substance abuse issues, and now we have a partnership that we're developing with Gary Pratt and Adam Post, and they offer peer support services. So not only can our clinician use that, but our officers will be able to use that. So if you come across somebody who may be suffering with some type of substance abuse issue and they're looking for help, we are developing this partnership so the officers will be able to point them in a direction, and or we could have that person respond directly and get them assistance either at the station or on scene based on what the situation is. So we're really excited to have that extra ability and tool in our tool belt to help people. Like I said, it's only been a couple weeks, and we're trying to put all these programs together, but we're really, really excited about these two new additions to our services for the community. So you'll be hearing a lot about it in the weeks to come. Probably a little bit more of an outline and understanding of exactly what the outreach program is going to be, and also the peer support group. And just so you know, to expand on the community outreach, one of the main objectives that I've put forward in that is I just didn't want our officers to be out there build that relationship, but I want them to be able to take that information that they're learning, that relationship they're having, and bring it back to the whole department to teach us to understand, through the eyes of different people, what they see, what they feel. So our officers are better educated on how to manage and deal with certain groups. And I think it's one of the tools or one of the things that we were missing was really seeing it through their eyes. So we're going to really, really build off of that and use that as an educational aspect to teach our officers to be better educated and have a better understanding of our community. So the people that are on that team are Kara Becker. She's going to help me and kind of keep me in the loop of everything that's happening. And she's already part of many groups in town and has a good relationship with many of them. Officer Christopher Balestro, who's our Comfort Canine program, we're going to use him as a tool, and the community comfort dog as a way to help build those relationships. Everybody's probably seen him out there. He's doing a great job with it. He's targeting the downtown area frequently, just doing some walks. He's going to different events, again to build that to start that conversation with people. And Officer Andreas Huertas, he's really excited about it, and he's got tons of good ideas based around the Latino community to help reach there, and really just to get us to understand that aspect of our community. I think that we could really build off of and don't really have a good understanding of. So he's going to bring a lot to the tables. Yesterday in our meeting, he was just really had so many good ideas. So we're really excited about that. And lastly, would be Olivia Cobb. Olivia Cobb, she's a part-time officer for us. She's got a passion for the community and just outreach for many different areas of it. So I think between all four of them, I think it's a great team that we have assembled, and I'm just excited to get it out there and start building these having these conversations and building these relationships. Unfortunately, COVID's going to make it a little bit more challenging for us, but that's the times we're living in, and we're determined to make it work. So I'm super excited about that, and like I said, you'll be hearing about that soon. Additionally, I want to normally what I would probably do if we weren't in COVID is to meet people. I wanted to get out there and meet people I don't know. I do know a lot of people in the community, but there's many people I don't know or know me. So I was planning on going out and talking to people and trying to meet people, but that can't work. So what I am going to be doing in the near future is starting something similar to this type of situation where now this Zoom thing where I can limit the size of the group to small groups and have some good talking points. So hopefully it'll give a way for the community to reach out to the police department and see, I can find out what they want from us. What can we do better to meet their needs? So I'm hoping to have a couple of these small groups, maybe once or twice a month. I didn't want the groups to be too large because I didn't want to lose the message, kind of be more focused on our conversation, because I think that'll be more productive that way. So that's something, again, we'll be kicking off very soon. But like I said, it's transition time, and we have a lot on our plate, and I'm just excited about this new adventure that I'm facing, and I hope I can serve the community well. Do you have any questions or comments? It's kind of a lot of information all at once, but
thanks, Chief. Everyone, like I said, has access to their own mics. If you have any questions for Chief Sorti, now's your chance.
And also, I'd encourage, if I can get the message out too, we're really trying to expand our information that we share for transparency to the community on our website. We're building that out as much as we can, as fast as we can. But we have included like the data from the speed trailer. We're looking at other ways we can do to share information so people can see what we're doing. So if anybody has any suggestions or information that they're looking for that they think we may want to add or consider adding to our website to make it easier for people to communicate with us, please let me know. You can send me an email, pstorty@town@gb.org. So hopefully with a better social platform, we can reach more people too. Some of the people that we've missed in the past.
So just a thank you. I've just noticed how fast you have responded to a few of the community needs, the traffic being one of them. But even before you were chief, the plan at the high school.
Yeah, thank you.
For the traffic light, which has been a problem for 30 years, I think, and fixed it with a very simple and inexpensive plan. So thank you. One suggestion, and he might already have it, but the outreach to the Latino community, if you're in touch with Volunteers in Medicine, who has their finger on that pulse of that community. The director is Alana Steinauer.
What was the name again?
Alana, Illana, Steinauer, which is the one I probably should spell, but I can't.
I can send you her email.
Okay, but it's worth reaching out to her.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, we have this is a pretty long list, and I just added it to it, so that's good. It'll
I just
happen overnight, but we're.
No, I mean, given that you just stepped into a new role, and as you say, at a already busy time, I'm impressed with the number of initiatives already. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what I've determined, the nice thing about this role so far is I came into it with a really good support team, and who are all support each other and complement each other in different ways. Like some of my weaknesses are Adam's strengths and vice versa. So the makeup that I have is really, really good and really supportive, and we can rely on each other to get these things done quickly. So that's, I got to give some of the credit to my support staff. They were incredible.
Another, stop me if, and this one you might wish you had stopped me. There was a not insignificant minority at the town meeting, calling to reduce the police budget, and I mean, I felt it was, I don't want to say knee jerk, but taking a sledgehammer to it's. I don't know if there's a way to reach out to start having these discussions with those groups or with the people who to explain to explain things like you're sort of already doing it. You are spending part of police time and money on the ride along with the mental health professionals. I think we have a lot of common ground. With, I think the police have a lot of common ground with the people who are calling for that. And I think if we could have discussions before town meeting and during the budget process.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Right, Ed. And I think that's something I learned going through this hiring process is, although we were doing a lot of good initiatives and our intent was there to address a lot of those things, we're missing getting our message out and educating people on the programs that we are doing. And getting the feedback on what we can do better. So through that, I think what was some of the issues that were brought up at the town meeting, and through me going through this process, I've learned a lot, and I think that's where it's important is for me to be able to educate the public on what we're doing to address those issues already, what we can learn from the information that was out there, how people are feeling, not just in our community, but more broad than that, and what can we put in place, or can we learn from how people are feeling to address those issues and put programs in place to reach even more people and to let people know what good work we're trying to do. So I agree with you. That's what I learned from this last year.
If I can help with that outreach, let me know. I'm happy to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If I could just butt in on this one, sorry, Ed. I'm so glad you brought this up because this is an issue of huge concern to me as well. And I think ideas around, I think the national discourse had a lot to do with urban police departments, where people policing poor neighborhoods have zero connection to the communities that they're supposedly responsible for. And I think in Great Barrington, the conversation needs to be different because, as you said in your personal resume, you were born here, your kids went to school here. The Great Barrington Police Department, the officers have a very strong connection to the community. Like police had to come to my house a couple weeks ago, and one of the officers who came literally was our camp counselor when we were 5. Like that's how tight knit this community is. But in terms of making sure that punitive situations that don't help and instead make situations worse, especially with regards to issues of addiction and things like that, I think are a great direction to go in these conversations. I think I've been reading a lot of the work of the thinkers who are pushing the idea that has the large branded idea of defunding the police, and that slogan is very helpful when you've got a huge police department that has a ridiculous amount of military gear. Because of the programs in the 80s and 90s where police departments could buy military gear. As I understand, that's not a situation that we have here. Whereas ideas around crime prevention is really is a community effort, and it's a knowing people and knowing their situations kind of thing. And so I really agree with what you said regarding just like you, Paul, knowing people in the community, and knowing faces and knowing names and knowing situations. One last thing that I want to put in, just because it's an issue that I'm passionate about, in reading situations across the country where policing has gone horrendously wrong and where people are, I think, reasonably afraid of police and intervention, has to do with people with severe developmental disabilities. And specifically adults with developmental disabilities, and how their interactions with the police have a tendency to go in a downhill very fast in incredibly tragic ways. And so I'm curious what, if you are aware of that issue, because that's another element of like violence prevention that the conversations around the summer, I had not thought of that before, and that the conversations of the summer brought to my attention, of the racial element, but also the ability and disability element. But thank you so much for everything that you've said, and I'm so glad that you're willing to make this a conversation.
Yes, actually, that I have my history before I got into law enforcement was around that, with some developmentally disabled people, and I worked in for Hillcrest, and I had some of the toughest kids. But so I do have a lot of education or experience, I should say. And I was a facilitator for a youth group where it was really on trust building, and we did the ropes course and all that kind of stuff. So I do have a foundation, understand the importance of it. But even beyond that, what my goal, and one of my goals is, in the crisis intervention training, it addresses specifically that topic, and understanding it, and how to manage people who are developmentally disabled, and understanding where they're coming from, and again, how to deal with them. We almost have 50% of our department that is currently trained as crisis intervention officers. My goal is to have 100%. We actually, I think we are over 50% now, because Elias did finish, but the COVID again created some issues with the training that goes in place. It's pretty intensive training. It's a great training, and that limited their classes that they're offering. So I think we're at 50% right now, and hopefully once we get over this hump, within a year or two, I'm going to have 100% of our officers trained in that, and that's just the starting point of it. Like, obviously, that's something we can build on, but it definitely will give us, every officer, that foundation, that understanding that they need on at least on the first level of it. So,
if I could just chime in quickly, there are a few more people in the waiting room now, and I just want to remind everyone that if I don't recognize your name, I can't promote you in as a panelist, and would be happy to. So just send me an email at mpruhinsky, MPRUHENSKI, at townofgb.org. Identify yourself, and I will promote you so you can control your mics and be involved in the conversation. Otherwise, you're welcome to hang in the waiting room and just listen. So, sorry for all of you that have to hear that for the 5th time. I'm sorry. New people keep coming in, and I just want to give everyone a fair shot at engaging in the conversation. So thank you, Chief Sorti. This has been really helpful, and I'd love to bring you back to another conversation soon.
sure.
And I know you're only a few weeks on the job at this point, and I'm sure you'll have plenty to share with us.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Again, if anybody has any ideas, I'm willing to have conversations with you, and I'm hoping this can be the starting point for additional dialogue between the community and the police department.
Yeah. feel free to hang in there if you want to participate in the open discussion, but I'll open up the floor now. If anyone has a question, a comment, a thought, feel free to jump right in. You don't need to raise your hand. This is a casual coffee meeting here. So
one thing I would be looking for, like I said, I wanted to have similar conversations with the community. If anybody has any topics that they wish to discuss, like I said, I want to kind of keep it narrowed and more focused, so I think we can resolve and work through them better than trying to deal with 10 topics at once. Feel free to email me, and we can put some type of rough agenda to create the conversation.
Ellen, looks like you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi. Building on the earlier topic of getting the letter out to new residents of Great Barrington, we did develop the new residents page on the town website. And I thought I would just share that screen with you briefly so you can see how that ended up being developed. Let me see if I can, actually Mark's got that disabled.
I'm sorry, I'll fix that right now.
Okay. So basically this builds on the letter that's going out to town residents that Tim and friends have been working on for a few months. So this is hopefully some standing information that people can use. We can always update this page, which I think is pretty chock full of good information. So let me see if I can share that screen with you. Okay, take a quick look at it.
Okay, looks like you need a coffee.
Yeah, okay. Can everyone see this? So this tab is right at the top of the Great Barrington website over here on the right. And general information message. Little formatting issue there I'll fix. So these are just the various resources that people might need or want to know about if they move into town, start doing, quote unquote, doing business with the town as residents. If anything's missing, please send Mark a note and I will add to this. It's always easy to update. So it's a little information about libraries, water, sewer, public safety, code red, senior center, town government, getting involved. Here's links. This is kind of chock full of links to committees and also some mention of local nonprofits that often need volunteers or board members. So here's the social media. We hope to improve upon this social media exposure in the next few months. Katie Orenstein is going to help us build out some social media, other platforms for that. So but right now, Facebook is where our social media presence is. And then just some mention of open space in the community, and et cetera. So if anyone has any suggestions, wants to take a look at this, ideas, please definitely share with Mark and he'll get to me on that. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Ellen. You just reminded me that maybe this is a good opportunity for Katie to talk about social media. Would you mind chatting about that for just a minute? Maybe provide an update on your plans for an expanded social media presence.
The plan is currently to expand our Facebook presence a little bit, to post a little bit more frequently there, and to add a little bit of personalization, a little bit more of a informal experience on Facebook, and then also to expand to Instagram in the next couple of weeks. The idea there being that young people tend to be on Instagram much more than Facebook, myself as an example, and to collaborate with other town groups that are already on Instagram, such as the library, and to not just post when it's essential, not just post PR stuff and Zoom links to meetings, but also to do a little bit of town history, to introduce people to the different people working in different agencies and in town hall, and to hopefully be a hub and a resource for people who've recently moved here, as mentioned, and younger people. So that'll be through the occasional posting and use of Instagram stories, which you might be familiar with. As Ed briefly mentioned, I'm also going to be doing a little bit for Cultural District, but that's a much smaller thing. And that's more just resharing stuff from other town organizations. So that's a very different kind of thing. But yeah, so if you have a trove of like town history photos, or if there's a particular story that you want to tell, my goal would be to keep it image focused and also to keep it as opposed to text, and to make it a narrative experience, something that people can latch onto, not just press releases and that kind of thing. And so if there's something you'd like to see there, again, the real emphasis is reaching out to people who wouldn't seek out town information on their own. And so going beyond news sources and finding people where they already are. I think that's it right now. Facebook and Instagram. Potentially Twitter. It's a little complicated, but one other goal we have is verification, such that people who have never heard of Great Barrington, they suddenly hear of Great Barrington and they Facebook search Great Barrington, and we pull up, we show up on their search. We would have a verification symbol, just proof that they know it's us and it's official and legitimate. And that requires some paperwork, and it's a little smoke and mirrors, because it's the official Facebook office, and they're a lot of smoke and mirrors over there. But yeah, that is the general idea. Ellen, I'd love for you to pitch in.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have this extra set of brains, plural, because Katie's got a lot when it comes to social media expertise. The town has kind of created its own newsroom a little bit in the last few years, and so this is really trying to keep people informed about what's going in town. A lot of transparency. There's a lot of the website is the hub for town information, and we try to share that as best we can on Facebook. But for a variety of reasons, we haven't gone beyond Facebook. Partly it's a budgetary issue, but partly, I think that's the main thing up to this point. So Katie's here as an intern, and she's going to help us launch into that next phase of social media, because we really do need to connect with another audience, a different, wider audience of people who are not on Facebook. I think a lot of people are tired of Facebook, don't want to have to be there. I'm one of them. So options are good.
One other thing I just want to add in, since if you need a photo taken for something, or if there's information you want to get out about the town that you think might make sense in a short video format, let me know. I can be your videographer for something, as I was for You'll See when the flag thing came out. We took some nice pictures. Yeah, so I just want to offer my services there if there's any kind of photography need.
Yeah. And people in the community can always send us a photo, like a snowplow going down your street, or anything at all that might show town activity. Feel free to send it to Mark, or send it to me or Katie, and we can repurpose that, because we do need more visual excitement with the town as we build this communications effort on behalf of the town.
A couple of just things I forgot to share that I'd like to. Chris and Balestro and Bico, if you're not aware, they're up for an Academy Award for they are movie stars for crosswalk safety. So that's something that I haven't seen it yet, but Chris filled me in and said he was pretty excited to do that little short film yesterday. But also, the skate park has flooded the rink, and I gave it my personal seal of approval. I went down Sunday, did a little skating, test the ice, make sure it was good to go. So tomorrow you may see a couple of our officers down there I think it officially opens today, but you might see a couple officers down there skating tomorrow. Give you a heads up.
Sorry, where is that?
Behind Railroad Street Youth.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Ice is good. They did a great job on it. As a person who loves to skate, all these years I was so excited to find out that they finally got that skating rink up and going. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Tim Newman, you had your hand up.
I was going to ask or comment. My sense of hearing Katie and Ellen both talk about social media is that it's very locally directed, which is great. However, I have for many years felt that Great Barrington has not done a particularly good job of promoting itself outside of outside of the Berkshires. And we now have a lot of new residents here from elsewhere, and so I guess you might say that we don't need to be encouraging people to move here the way we used to. But I do think it would be very helpful if the energies were also directed towards putting Great Barrington more on the regional and national map as a very special place. We're in a kind of a competition, if you want to call it that, for mind share with regard to great places to live. Whether it's Portland, Maine, or whatever. That I think we're right up there, and I don't think we're getting as much recognition as we should, and the recognition doesn't come automatically. It requires some effort. So anyway, I would encourage you to try to find a way to develop stories that are of a broader interest.
Looks like Ellen has her hand up and would like to respond to that. So go ahead, Ellen.
Hi, Tim. I do agree with the idea, that Great Barrington needs to promote itself beyond the town. But there are a couple of things I just want to point out. The kind of outreach that you're talking about, I believe, is more appropriately handled by Chamber, Berkshire County, Berkshire County, Southern Berkshire Chamber, etc. And just sort of organic storytelling, which I think you also might be referring to, which is great when we can put out some kind of news that's relevant to the community. If you're talking about formally marketing the town of Great Barrington, that's a whole different ballgame in terms of money, cost. That's a big job, and typically, more frequently, you might see that handled by visitor organizations, bureaus, real estate organizations, private business, etc. So when we look primarily at our outreach efforts now, we're looking at the clientele and customers of the town of Great Barrington, in terms of town government, town services, etc. What taxpayers want to know, what taxpayers or others in the community might need to go about their business with the town. So that's something we could definitely further talk about offline, and Katie would be included in that too. There are ways to promote the town, but once you get beyond your sort of natural catchment zone, then you start talking about a different type of marketing effort.
And Tam, I'm with you there. I think right this second, due to the pandemic situation, I'm not sure. I think if this was a normal situation, it would totally make sense to mention, to try to get the word out about Great Barrington in terms of a weekend away situation. Right this second, that's I would understand there being some reticence to doing that.
I'm not suggesting that we do it tomorrow. I'm larger statement.
Yeah, I Ellen's point that perhaps Chamber of Commerce and other like business focused organizations, maybe even the cultural district, might be a slightly better home for that. Makes sense, but I do understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. We in planning this, we've been looking at the social media presences of other small towns that have a vacation element. East Hampton has a very strong social media presence. We do not, and so part of my work is to catch up in that sense. And so I totally hear you there.
Thank you.
Nan, it looks like you had your hand up. Did you have something you wanted to ask?
No, I'm having a nice
Okay.
time listening to all of this. I just wanted to have contact information for both Katie and Ellen.
Okay, I can share that with you,
That would
Nan.
be terrific. Thanks.
Sure. I did see your email just pop up.
Looking forward to hearing from you.
Yep, me too.
Anyone else with a comment, a question? No? All right, it looks like we're closing in on an hour here, so I just wanted to thank you all. It looks like we had about 20 people on the call, all said and done, with a group of folks in the waiting room. So thank you all again for participating, and I look forward to seeing you again in a month.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Take care.